The city of Lagos is secure, sustainable, functional, and of course safe. A diversified economy with a huge population of skilled labor with an all-inclusive approach. This is the Power Choice City of Interest on the City of Lagos TV show. Let's take you on a tour of Lagos. You're welcome. You're still watching the City of Lagos TV show on TV Nigeria. Welcome to Transport Lagos, where we, of course, take a deep look at major developments in the transport sector in the City of Lagos. The transport architecture of Lagos took a revolutionary turn with the introduction of the blue BRT buses. And of course, its operation, management, and administration is under the responsibility of one of the strategic agencies under the Ministry of Transportation, talking about the Lagos Bus Services Limited. Today, we're here to verify and, of course, ascertain the level of achievements, initiatives, projects, and programs, and, of course, prospective plans of this agency, under the able leadership of the Managing Director, CEO, Mr. Idowu Ogutana. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Transportation forms the major pillar of the Teams Plus agenda of Mr. Governor. And so, to what extent has the agency's mandate, vision, and mission statement under your leadership fall in line with the aims and objectives of this development agenda?
Thank you once again. It's a pleasure to be on your program to speak to what we're doing as an agency. Lagos Bus Services Limited is the Lagos State Government public bus appointed bus operating company. Our mandate is to provide modern, safe, secured, reliable, and convenient mass transportation for Lagosians that also integrates with other modes of public transportation. As a company, we also have a mission that drives our purpose as an organization. And that mission is around providing smart and sustainable public transportation that meets the need of a mega city like Lagos. Lagos is 26 million people and counting. And so you need a very reliable public transportation system that can cater to the daily mobility need of Lagosians. And speaking specifically to the T, which is the number one pillar within the strategic priorities of this administration, that speaks to traffic management and transportation. As an agency of government, we are responsible for providing mass transportation mobility for Lagosians on a day-to-day basis. And that pretty much feeds into the priority of the state's transportation agenda, which is an integrated multimodal transportation system. What that essentially means is that you are ensuring that the different modes, and specifically I would like to talk about just three modes, the road, which talks about the bus, the rail, which talks about the train, and then water, which talks about ferry, ensuring that there is a seamless integration along those three modes. And of course, you know that every journey starts on the land, starts on the road. And so we play in that space where we ensure that people are able to start their journey and also finish their journey. So journeys don't just start on the land or road, it also finishes. So as an agency, we are driving that integrated multimodal, connectivity, and that we've done, pretty much well since the onset of this administration.
As a leading provider of public transportation in Lagos, what are the very recent significant achievements, innovation, and exceptional services of the agency to improve and transform road transportation for the benefit of Lagosians?
So thank you very much. I'll speak from the angle of our value proposition. What kind of value are we adding? All right. And so when you look at a transportation system, there are a few metrics that you use to measure right, the quality of that transportation system. First of all will be the accessibility, because you cannot claim to have a public transport system that is not accessible, that is not available, that people cannot get on, right? And then of course you want to also talk about the affordability, because don't forget, we're talking about public transportation. And what that means is that that service must be available to people regardless of where they are within the economic spectrum. So people at the base should also be able to get on that service. And therefore, the matrix of affordability becomes a very critical one. Currently, our service is scattered across the nook and cranny of Lagos. We are currently on about 44 service routes. And considering that when we started out about 5 years ago, we were just on about 5 routes. We've scaled that over time to about 44 service routes. And what is the essence of that? It's to ensure that the service is accessible. Whether you are somewhere along the Lagos-Badagry Expressway, you are in Vokes, you are in Okoko, you are in Festac, you are in Mile 2, the service is available along that corridor. Or even if you are in a corridor as well, we have our services that operate along that corridor as well. If you go as far as Yanopaja, Abule Egba, Topemu, if you come to Ikeja, which is the center as well, our services are there. If you go as far as Aja, Obalende, TBS, our services are there. If you go to Yaba, all right. So that just speaks essentially to the fact that we are offering a service that is accessible to all Lagosians. And that also plays into the Things Plus agenda. The plus talking about the inclusivity, that nobody is left outside of what the state is doing. And then the other thing we also need to consider is about the affordability. And that is a major matrix that you use in assessing the quality of public transportation. Currently, per the NBS statistics, the average fare for public transportation in Lagos year to date is about 1,063 naira, roughly 1,050 naira. That is what it will cost on average for a Lagosian to use a service from point A to point B, right? Now, in terms of our own fare point, it's around 530 naira, which effectively is about 50% of what the average fare within the state is. So the implication of that is that about 50% is saved relative to the other pricing within Lagos state. Multiply that by about 24, 25 days, that's 25,000 naira. And what does that do for Lagosians? That is, at the end of the month, about 25,000 naira has been saved from their earnings. And the implication of that is about 30% savings on the minimum wage of about 85,000 naira. So those are, amongst other things, some of the critical values that the agency, with the support of Mr. Governor and the Ministry of Transportation and Alamata, has been able to deliver for Lagosians.
Okay, trying to draw reference from your analysis, it's obvious that we must also consider the issue of revenue generation by the agency, juxtapose that with managing and sustaining such an agency that requires a lot of funding.
Right.
Now, if you look at the population in Lagos and looking at your books in terms of returns, would you say business has been good?
Very good question, especially at this particular time in our history as a nation and even globally. We all know what the macroeconomic variables are saying. We know what businesses are going through right now. These are really tough times for businesses. But for us as an organization, yes, our core value and mandate is that accessibility and affordability. So at the end of the day, we need to ensure that for us to continue to be able to deliver that, we must have, efficient cost management systems. So our strategy is around cost efficiency. In terms of the revenue, to drive our revenue is pretty much around ensuring that, there is reliability around our service, the service is always out there and all of that. But beyond that, our core strategy, all right, to be able to deliver to that affordability is to ensure that there is, a well designed and cohesive cost management system. For example, what we've done as far as our fueling is concerned, and that fueling is a big issue, especially after the deregulation of the downstream. prices of AGO PMS is really gone up significantly. So what we've done basically as a strategic cost management initiative is to ensure that we partner with another sister agency, which is Oil Gas, such that we take advantage of volume purchase. So that way we're not doing spot purchases that, of course, the prices are volatile, such that we take advantage of volume purchase over a period of time. And what that does is that it gives us reliability around our costing. And of course, we are also able to get the leverage of economies of scale in terms of the cost of our operation. So yes, as a company, we're doing our best to ensure that this service is sustainable and is available and is affordable for our commuters.
Now, Lagos Bus Services recently marked 5 years of operation. So what are the new set standards to follow best practices to bring about positive change in the transport architecture of the city?
In May of 2024, the current year, it was our 5th year anniversary as an organization. And of course, we looked at our performance, we looked at what we've done, and it's been a story of growth. Of course, that couldn't have happened without the strategic and visionary leadership of Mr. Governor, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu. When the company started out in 2019, it started out with just 50 buses on 5 routes. Over the last 5 years, by the time we looked at our data, we had moved from mere 50 buses to 300. That is a massive leap. In terms of the ridership, at the time, we're doing less than 4,000 passengers a day. Today, we're moving 60,000 Lagosians on a daily basis. Now, in terms of the cumulative passenger ridership from 2019 till May of 2024, we had moved over 50 million Lagosians, and that is a huge accomplishment. On a daily basis, we're having about 1,000 bus trips. All right, we're covering about 40 to 50,000 kilometers on a daily basis. That just shows the scale of the operations of this company. But looking forward, speaking to what the governor has done as far as giving people options, only recently the commercial operation of the Red Line commenced. And of course, we know that the Blue Line celebrated its 1st year anniversary recently. If we look at the integrated multimodal transport system, what that means is that there needs to be a synergy, a connectivity that happens. People need to be able to get on the bus to get to a point where they now need to get on the train or on the ferry. So what we are looking at right now and what we are doing is to improve how we are aiding that connectivity. That's on one side. We also are ensuring that we also increase our penetration and accessibility, getting onto routes that we never were, before now. And obviously, we also are improving our operational efficiency. So one of the things we've done this year, for example, was to decentralize our operations such that our operational base are closer to the origin where people start their journey. So for example, we have a depot in Yaba where we fully operationalized so that people that are going to the island, for example, in the morning AMs can start their journey around there. So that aids operational efficiency for us. So those are some of the things we're looking at in the short run to see that we continue to meet up on our mandate and we continue to deliver value for Lagosians.
How resourceful and committed to duties is the workforce of the agency in order to maintain and sustain your top-notch customer service and good interpersonal relationship?
This is a service-oriented organization, right? Our core stakeholder are the customers, the passengers. And so as a business, central to our core value is customer centricity, meaning that everything we do across the organization, from the staffing perspective, from our SOPs, our policies, etc., is such that we put the customer at the very heart of that. And what do we do? So we have a very robust customer service training program that regardless of where you are within the organization, regardless of your function, everybody is exposed to a decent level of customer service training. In addition to that, as managers, we don't just sit in the office, right? We do what we call meet the managers. And what do we do on such days? We go out. we assign different managers to different stations. And what they do there is to have a first-hand engagement with our commuters to get a sense of, are there challenges? What are the expectations? What do we need to do differently? And that basically just gives us a first-hand experience. And it also puts a face to the organization. So when commuters are ordinarily, we just see the captains, those are our drivers and ground staff. Now you're seeing the people that are behind the scene. It sort of gives a sense of, what this organization is really about. Then in addition to that, we also have some sort of evaluation mechanism. For example, mystery shopping. So we also carry out mystery shoppings from time to time as a way of having a covert, insight into our operations. And we gather those data, we use it, and we refine it. We use it to refine our service delivery, all right? But I must say that the staff of LBSL are extremely dedicated, committed, and passionate about what they do. I mean, there's no sleeping time, right? You run 2 shifts of 8 hours, and then at the night shift, where you expect that people are sleeping, no. The buses are being washed, they're being fueled, they are being walked on, so that as early as 4 a.m. the next day, the buses are out there on the road as well. And that only takes a crop of dedicated and committed workforce that will ensure that that happens, okay? And all that maintenance and all that happens within our depot. So when the buses come in, we've got a fuel dump where the buses are fueled. We have a stabling area where the buses are stable. They are cleaned, they are prepared for the next day, and then you have checks and all of that to be sure that those buses are ready for operation the next day.
We've had the opportunity of speaking with some Lagosians, stakeholders who, of course, were preferring an idea. We don't know if the company is actually considering this. We're talking about a 24 hours operation. Should we be expecting such, or the agency does not have the capacity to do that right now?
Thank you, very interesting. And I also believe that people are drawing similarities from similar cities in the world, i.e. London, New York, and all of that. But again, our service is demand driven. For us to be out there, then that means there has to be that demand. So the question is, how robust is the nightlife in Lagos? Yes, it's bubbling, but at the end of the day, we're talking about significant demand. Capacity is not an issue. Currently, we run a 24-hour shift, right? We run about 8 hours in the AM and the PM, and then at night, we run a shift of washing, maintaining, and all that for the next day. So we can very easily deploy our service even in the night time.
For an agency of this nature, there has to be room for synergy and collaboration between other sister transport agencies. So what has been that synergy and level of collaboration in order for you to fulfill your set objectives?
The transportation family is one of the most cohesive MDA, where there is that sense of camaraderie amongst the various leaders, either GMs, MDs, or whatever the nomenclatures are. And to be honest, that has essentially been as a result of the leadership of the ministry. Talking specifically about the Honorable Commissioner now, Mr. Oluwaseyi. We have regular meetings amongst ourselves where he chairs, and we cross-fertilize ideas, right? We look at each agency and see how we can leverage our comparative strength and advantages such that there's some sort of synergy when we come together. But speaking specifically, I'll touch on a few agencies that we have direct interactions and engagement with. First will be Lamata, responsible for the urban mobility. Lamata is what you call the PTA, that's the Public Transport Authority. Within every public transport system, you have a PTA and a PTO. The PTA is Public Transport Authority, and the PTO is Public Transport Operator, which we are. So Lamata as a PTA is essentially responsible for setting the standards, all right, setting service levels, right. They also ensure that the right kind of infrastructure is in place. So from that angle, we're collaborating effectively with Lamata. They're also helping in terms of provisions of some infrastructure, all right, for us where we can also deploy our service. Also, lastly, we have such a cordial relationship from the certification of our training school. We have a training school here where we have hands-on training for our drivers. We have a scheduled training arrangement that we have. So lastly, from time to time, help with the certification of that training school. And of course, last month. So from time to time where we need some sort of priority access in the delivery of our service, LASMA is always there to ensure that we get those kind of priority access. And where there are issues of breakdowns and all of that, there's even a platform, a common platform where we share, traffic updates and all that. So LASMA is able to respond, very, very effectively. So we're having very strong and cordial collaboration, along our comparative strength to ensure that there's synergy within the sector.
Okay, to what extent has Mr. Governor been of great assistance to this company?
I mean, we won't be here if Mr. Governor is not the governor. We kind of feel like the pampered and the preferred baby amongst all the MDA. And why do I say that? He chose traffic management and transportation as his first developmental pillar, as his first strategic priority. For us, that says a lot. And it's not just on paper. We can see that this has been translated to actionable initiative and projects. For example, like I said, the Blue Line is an audacious project which he has brought to light. And very quickly, you see the red line as well. So this is not just plain lip service, but backing it with actions that are verifiable. And speaking about us specifically, like I said, the massive leap that we've experienced just within the space of 5 years, from just 50 buses to 300 could never have happened. I mean, it's the first of its kind. That level of scaling, it's the first of its kind. Also helping to ensure that our payment systems are automated. And that has helped as far as revenue, security, and assurance is concerned. But more specifically, in recent times, Mr. Governor rose up to the occasion when there was huge cost of transportation. And what did he do? He offered a 25% rebate to commuters. So saying to commuters, for example, on a route where you're supposed to pay 1,000 naira, he cut that down to 750, giving people the opportunity to be able to afford the transportation cost. And guess what that has done for us? That has also driven demand. So people that up until now or before those rebates were not using the service, that sort of pushed more people to use our service. So we're clearly seeing that there is increased demand and increased ridership. And honestly, this is as a result of the commitment of our dear governor, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu. So he's been extremely supportive. And like I said, we feel like the preferred child amongst so many children that he has.
A very fundamental aspect of transport management is maintenance. How is your agency coping with maintenance of this huge fleet of buses?
This is a 24-hour job. I mean, yeah. And at the end of the day, what you want to ensure you're doing as an operator is to maximize your availability, your uptime. Those buses have got to be out there as much as possible. And the only way you can achieve that is to have a robust, proactive maintenance system. So we have state-of-the-art facility, maintenance facility. Beyond that, we also have well-trained maintenance staff that are responsible for ensuring that when these buses are defective, they come in and very quickly they are turned around and they are taken out. So you also have what you call scheduled maintenance. What does that mean? It means that after certain kilometers, and specifically I'm talking about 15,000 kilometers, so when a bus covers up to 15,000 kilometers, the standard within our SOP is that that bus has to come in and do what you call your routine maintenance. You change the filters, you change the oil and all of that, and ensure that the engine is working optimally, and then you put it back into service. Then of course you have instances where there's a damage, there's a defect, so you have to do corrective maintenance. Maybe the headlight is faulty. The goal is to ensure that our buses have maximum availability in terms of the buses being on the road to ensure that we're able to provide our mandate. Yeah.
Is there no kind of arrangement? Because we can still see quite a number of the bosses that have been, what I call them, I won't say lying fallow, but they seem to have gone off use. Is there any kind of turnaround maintenance with the company you get these buses from? Like using these buses for a period and try to swap them for newer ones. So what's the arrangement really?
On the average, if you look at the kind of buses we operate, which are heavy duty buses or high capacity buses, if you like, those buses are designed with minimum of a 1 million passenger kilometer life cycle, meaning that you expect those buses to run at least 1 million kilometers before they get to their end of life, or in some instances 10 to 12 years. So with the right kind of maintenance, those buses will be on the road. And one of the things we did was, when those buses were acquired, there was an arrangement with the OEMs, the manufacturers, to ensure that there was on-the-ground support and transfer of skills. So for example, our maintenance workshop officers that we have all went through the right kind of training. So for example, within our fleet, we have what you call Scania, we have Mercedes, we have Ashok, and these are different bus types. So those OEMs or the manufacturers of those buses, were involved in training our people and ensuring that there's skill transfer. So that way, the maintenance of these buses, continue to go on and ensuring that the service is sustained over the useful life of the assets.
Thank you very much. Well, in line with the current president's policy advocacy for clean and green economy, so how prepared and forward-looking is the agency to play big time in the transport sector? And what other futuristic plans are in the pipeline to give Lagosians a better transport system?
Yes, you just mentioned the president's policy, which is the PCNGI, to ensure that public transportation or transportation in general leverages CNG to drive transportation. But even beyond that, if you come to our own local environment, or you come to Lagos State, and let's domesticate this conversation within Lagos State. Lagos State has recently launched its transport policy, and within that transport policy, it shows a clear roadmap of how the state is going to transition from the current fossil fuel type buses to cleaner energy buses. That's on one hand. And then you also have what we call the Climate Action Plan, which is a 5-year document. And that document speaks to the vision of Lagos State achieving carbon neutrality by 2050. In that document, it identifies that transportation is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. As a matter of fact, about 25% of carbon emission is provided or is generated through transportation. And so what have we done, right? And not just Lagos, we don't just talk the talk, we do the work, right? So what we've done, in recent time is we're currently running a proof of concept with an electric bus. I mean, in Lagos, as we speak today, you have electric bus that is running on the roads of Lagos. And what we're doing with that is to gather data to gain insight into the performance of these buses. And I tell you, the data have been quite encouraging. And of course, just reiterating the fact that going forward, cleaner energy buses are the way to go. So we are very much positioned to ensure that we refleet our buses, right, with cleaner energies as we start decarbonizing, taking out the fossil fuel energy buses and bringing in CNG buses and of course electric vehicle buses. We're also speaking very closely with the PCNGI so that as the initiative is being executed, we're a major player and stakeholder in that whole framework.
I want to thank you for coming on the program. It's been quite interesting speaking with the Managing Director, CEO of Lagos Bus Services Company Limited. To a large extent, it's obvious that a lot of efforts and initiatives have been taken to sustain the tempo of offering quality, sustainable, safe and secure transport system for Lagosians, especially on the road. So MD, what are your final words of encouragement and assurance to Lagosians to actually believe in your mission statement?
Thank you very much. So first of all, I want to recognize our critical stakeholders who are our passengers, the 57 million Lagosians roughly that have used the service from inception up until date. We want to express our heartfelt gratitude for believing in us and committing your mobility need to us. We won't be here. There will be no LBSL if we don't have our commuters using our service. On behalf of myself, the management team, and the entire workforce of Lagos Bus Services Limited, we want to say a heartfelt gratitude. Thank you to our commuters. Also the stakeholders, various stakeholders, internal and external stakeholders. Obviously, we couldn't also be doing what we're doing without the stakeholders. We would also like to thank the leadership of the Ministry of Transport, specifically Honorable Oluwaseun Oshiemi, for his leadership and oversight function over the entire Ministry of Transport and all the agencies. And again, we want to reassure everybody that as an organization, you can count on us. We will continue to ensure that this service is accessible. We will get to areas that the service does not currently get to right now. We will also do our best to ensure that this service continues to remain affordable. And we will also ensure that safety be a watchword for us. It will be something that our commuters can hold us to. And if you have not been using our service, I'm wondering what you're doing. So I want to say to you, please get on the bus. And we would really appreciate getting feedbacks from our commuters, road users, and what we'll expect is you can take note of the code on every bus that we deploy, the time and the location, and you can reach us on any of those platforms by telephone 0809 055 LBSL, also on 0809 0555 275. You can also send us an email, info@lbsl.ng. You can get on any of our social media platforms on Instagram or X, which is former Twitter, at LBSLNG. You can also contact us on our LinkedIn account, Lagos Bus Services Limited. We look forward to hearing from you. That way we are able to improve our services such that you continue to enjoy our service delivery. Thank you.
So MD CEO, Lagos Bus Services Limited, want to thank you for coming on the program and we wish you all the best. And so for Lagosians, you've heard it all. This is one strategic agency that has, of course, revolutionized road transport in Lagos. And of course, the man at the ends of affairs here, talking about Mr. Ogutana, has been able to give us deep insight into the major achievements and success story of the agency. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
And so that's it on Transport Lagos on the City of Lagos TV show. The show will continue in a moment. We'll be right back.
Hello Lagosians, my name is Ido Oguntono and I'm privileged to be the Managing Director of Lagos Bus Services Limited. Are you going to work? Are you going to school? Are you going to the market or moving around Lagos? Why not get on our bus? LBSL is your dependable transit partner. As an agency of government, in keeping in line with our mandate, which is to provide modern, safe, reliable public transportation system for Lagosians, we commit once again to continue to ensure that our services are accessible regardless of where you are in the city. We commit to ensuring that this service gets to you. Beyond that, we also commit to ensure that this service continues to be affordable, where you don't have to break the bank to get on our service. But guess what? All of this couldn't have been possible without the visionary leadership of our governor, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, who has remained committed to his team's agenda, particularly traffic management and transportation. The statistics speaks for itself. The blue line is there. The red line is there. Recently, the omnibus has been launched. And of course, the bus system. But guess what? You haven't seen anything yet. There is much more in the pipeline. In no distant future, you will begin to board buses with clean energy, CNG buses, electric buses. I tell you, there's so much more that we can look forward to. And finally, I want to say, Igbega Ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó, àjùmọ̀ṣe ni.
In the city of Lagos, you can activate your dream and realize your full potentials. So think Lagos and support this great city to serve you better. Thanks for watching.